I might be bad news. Hi there, it's Christie with the Chirp YouTube channel. Welcome to another video. I'm happy you're here. I'm going to start a 5-video series now, starting today. This is very exciting, on what to do if you are a teacher, a therapist, a special needs ministry volunteer, or some other person who deals with kids, especially kids with special needs, and a child comes into your program who is upset. I am not great with coming up with titles for videos that attract people's minds because I know what I'm trying to communicate, but the people don't. If you have a better idea for what this series should be called, please leave it in the comments below. I would love to know. Upset child. Upset can mean having a meltdown, which is where a child is completely out of control for various reasons, which might be caused by various different things. The child could be having some sort of tantrum, which is where a child is trying to manipulate the adults to do what she wants. Or the child could be having some emotional difficulties, which are neither a meltdown nor a tantrum, but are simply big emotions that maybe she doesn't know how to deal with. These kids come into my program, and we have to be able to assess what each child needs. Even if we don't know the child, even if we don't know the situation in the classroom before the child came to us, or the situation at home before the child came to us, we need to be able to kind of do a cursory process that enables us to help the child as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible. This is the video series that's about that process. I should tell you, I have worked over the last almost 20 years in a variety of different environments with kids with special needs. I've worked in a number of public schools. I've worked in a private school. I worked in a clinic. I've worked in churches. I've worked in families' homes. I have worked in a wide variety of environments, and this process will work in any of them, which is very convenient, don't you think? The very first thing I want to pay attention to if a child comes into my room, or if I come into a child's home and the child is upset, or any sort of environment and the child is upset, I need to take a quick glance to make sure there's not some physical injury. This has never been the case in my long stretch of experience with kids who have special needs. It's always been something else so far, but that's not saying that it always will be something else. It may be that the child got a paper cut in her other classroom and freaked out, and so the staff brought her over to me to help her calm down, and it was a simple fix of putting a bandage on and then she would be fine, or getting an ice pack for a little bump on her elbow. Some of our kids can be very, very sensitive to touch, sensitive to everything, and so if they get bumped, if they get cut, it's a much bigger deal than some of the other kids. Some of our kids have such a strong reaction to hand sanitizer that they will cry and refuse to use it and hide under the table when it comes near, because one time they had a cut and the hand sanitizer went in there and it hurt so bad that they couldn't stand it, and they don't ever want that to happen again. So we need to keep our eyes on, could it be physical pain? Usually it's not, but it's good to keep an eye out for it. I have been presented with upset kids quite often. In fact, most of the time when a new child joins my program, or when I meet a new child, the child is upset. Everything's new, I'm new. This child does not know what to expect from me. I could be the wicked witch. I could be a horrible person who forces her to do all sorts of things that she really hates. And a lot of times for our kids with special needs, this is the experience they have over and over and over. An adult forcing them to do things they really hate to do that are really hard for them. It's totally reasonable to me that the child would not be excited to meet yet another adult who might force them to do things they don't want to do. That is not my mission in life. My mission in life is to make the world more welcoming for kids with special needs and adults with special needs too. I can't do that by being unfriendly or unwelcoming or overly demanding or any of those things. I need to do it by actually being welcoming and loving. Okay, the deal is over these 5 videos, I'm going to talk about one step in each video. This video, I'm going to talk about the first step, which is to listen to the nonverbal communication you're getting from the child. Obviously, you can't listen to nonverbal communication, but you can pay attention to nonverbal communication. Here are some questions to think about as you are imagining this child coming into your classroom, or yourself going into this child's home to do some kind of therapy with them perhaps, or maybe you babysit and you're working on having more kids with variety of diagnoses on your babysitting caseload. These are great steps to keep in mind. I should say here, we need to be prepared before the moment comes, because in the moment, we're dealing with stuff. We don't have time to whip out our phone and go, what were the steps again? You might want to write these down, take some notes, print it out. You might want to read some of the resources that I put in the info box down below. You might want to make your own plan for when you have these situations so that you know exactly what you're going to do. Step 1, as I mentioned, is pay attention to the nonverbal communication you're getting from the child. Here are some questions to pay attention to. Is the child hitting you or throwing things at you or other people? Is the child biting herself, pulling her hair? Is the child grinding her teeth? Is the child yelling swear words? These are some great questions to ask ourselves in this initial approach to this child. Let's go another step. How does your proximity or lack of proximity affect these behaviors you're seeing from the child, these nonverbal behaviors? If you get closer, does the child get louder and more angry? Or as you get closer, does the child start to calm down? In most cases, initially when I see a child, I need to stand back a bit because the child is not sure what to make of me and is feeling a little bit frantic and panicky that I might be bad news. I need to back off. I don't need to sit right next to the child. I don't need to touch the child. I don't even need to talk to the child. I know this seems shocking. We often think we need to jump right in there, start doing whatever it is we came there to do, but that's not the case. My job, my first job, is to earn the trust of the child and the family. I can't do that if I'm setting the child into flight mode or fight mode or freeze mode. None of those are going to do the trick. I need to earn the trust of the child by being trustworthy and by being careful with her, by being gentle, by being kind, like I would want someone to be to me. We also want to ask ourselves, does this seem like an emotional thing? Does this seem like sadness? Are there tears? Does this seem like fear? Is the child stiff and frozen? Does the child seem frantic and panicking? What emotions are we seeing here? That is going to inform how we respond. If I believe the child is sad, I'm going to do comforting things and say comforting things. In fact, I always should be saying comforting things, but I'm going to be saying things especially geared towards sadness. For example, I might model, I'm sad, I need a hug. And then I might approach the child as if to give a hug and see if she will accept it. A lot of times with sadness, when I do this process, I'm sad, I need a hug, I model for the kid what she could say in this situation, and then I act like I'm going to give her a hug. A lot of times she'll just fall right in and get a hug because she can tell I understand what's happening. Sometimes the child leans away. I'm not going to hug a child who's leaning away from me. I'm going to maybe give her a teddy bear and say, hug, hug. That's better. That's what I do in the case of tears. Sometimes it works better than others. If I can sense that the child's feeling panicky, I'm going to move everyone away. I'm going to quiet the classroom down or the home. I'm going to not sit very close. I'm going to use quiet words, not very many gestures. I'm not going to make my face really exciting. I'm not going to smile real big. I'm not going to use a lot of words. I'm just going to be a calming, soothing presence. If I have interesting toys that I think might calm the child down, I might just put the toy there on the floor and then sit back. Usually a calming presence without anyone right in her face, and an interesting thing to look at, to be curious about. Usually that will calm down panic. Sometimes it does not. I have known some very, very panicky students, and sometimes I sit way back and don't interact with the child for a lot longer than you would think. Usually it hasn't been more than an hour, but sometimes it's been pretty close. The child was so on edge that my presence alone was enough to send, this was a boy, to send him over the edge into panic mode. And I just had to ease off. I just had to be there and yet be non-threatening. And sometimes just being in proximity is as much as the child can handle. If I think that the child is angry, I also want to model appropriate ways to deal with that anger. So, for example, I might say, I'm angry. And then I might provide, in my classroom, I usually have bean bags, and I usually have either a shoe cubby or an X on the wall, or a spot on the wall, I guess. And that is the spot where we throw the bean bags. A lot of my students get great benefit from throwing things hard. And I would much rather they throw things hard at the wall or at my shoe cubby than at me or other kids. In which case, I will demonstrate. I'm angry! And I will throw the bean bag in the place I wish the child to throw the bean bag. And then I will hand the child the little bin of bean bags and assume that she is going to do the same thing. Maybe in my classroom, we have a bean bag that we punch when we're angry. Maybe we have a pillow and we beat it on the ground when we're angry. We need to have ways for kids to work out these feelings, and sometimes they need to do it in physical ways. We don't want to hurt anybody, but we do need to teach creative and meaningful ways for kids to express their emotions. So if a kid is angry, these are some of the strategies I might try. These were some tips for your first initial cursory overview of an upset child with special needs, whether it's in a classroom or in a home or in a clinic. This is your first step. Look at the nonverbal signals that the child is giving you and work on those issues first. If there's an emotion, deal with that. If there's a physical injury, deal with that. We want to teach kids. This whole process is about teaching kids to deal wisely and well with the stuff that affects them. If I have an itch, I'm not going to scream about it, I'm going to scratch it. If I'm hungry, I'm not going to have a meltdown, I'm going to say, I'm hungry, I need a snack. These are the kind of things that our kids often can't do, and so they're at the mercy of these things that happen to them. This process is going to help us help them. And this was step 1. Next week, we're going to talk about sensory needs because they are super important. Thank you for being here. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and ding that little bell. Not only does it help other people find these videos, which I hope are helpful to you, but it also helps you to know when the next installment of this series is posted, which is expected to be next week. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.